Hello, I am Quinny, welcome to the channel. In this video today guys, we're going to be going through episode 1 of how to build your club on SoRare. We've recently had a little sneak peek behind the curtains with the recent AMA of what the next kind of iteration of all the onboarding and progression systems are going to be. So if you're on board now, you've maybe just started in the last month or two, maybe you've been here for about 6 months, you've been kind of trudging on, trying to slowly grind and build up your club and your gallery. This is a great opportunity for you to be positioning yourself for all these new things to actually maximise it and be able to take advantage of it yourself. So in this little series we'll be talking about, in the lead up to these things, how you can position your club as best as possible, and once we get these things out, we'll be talking about how you can actually maximise your club on that side of things as well. I hope you enjoy this series guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. Like, subscribe, share, retweet. Let's get stuck into it. So for some context, the AMA was on the 6th of May. The two things we want to really pull out of this for this episode in particular is Nicholas goes on to explain that they're looking to get an Ethereum scaling solution up on board, so it just makes all the distribution of everything and all the fees as user friendly as possible, okay? And what that means you can also work out quite easily. But then once that is in place, they will then look to produce the new scarcity, okay, which will allow managers with smaller budgets to compete and have a lot of fun on SoRare, etc, etc. The second part, the explanation for the new way the threshold is going to work in terms of the progress bar that we get access to every 3 months it seems, and they give us an example of what the kind of strategic element of that will be. So the ability to get a rare card between tier 3 and star depending on how many points you've accumulated, an ETH payout fixed to a fiat value of £50 to 2,000, and an amount of XP given to 5 players, or between 2 level ups per player and 8 level ups per player depending on how you distribute that. So there's going to be a lot more choice and a lot more variety in how you're going to get your club on the leaderboard, because there's the most obvious part for most people is stepping into the marketplace and going buying new cards and building your gallery up in that sense. But what's also at play as well when you're actually hitting the leaderboards is the score that you're producing, because XP bonuses make a difference as well as the actual cards that you have, so in certain situations different alternative payouts will be more beneficial to you and your club, okay? So what you've got to accept, or what you've got to get established in your plans and your foundation, the foundation pieces you're going to make for actually building your club, is the expectations you're going to have over the next, let's say, 2 months, okay, while the new stuff happens and arrives, and then the preceding quarter from there, the next 3 to 4 months. How would you want the ripple effect of all these new changes, how would you want them to impact your club, your success in SO5 and all the other associated little parties as well. And as you can see, I've just brought up the rankings on screen, so it'll be very easy to pull an example out. Champion Euro is probably a good one because I know it was highly competitive this game week. But you'll see how different, how slight the points are, because we'll look at that. Between 2nd and 3rd, it's just over half a point, and then again, we've got a 3-way kind of similar situation between 5th and 7th. And as you can see, there's lots of groupings across the leaderboard where there is fractions of a point between 4 places, 3 places. Look here, 425 for 17th Mamba, all the way down to 424 for 20. And I know somewhere in here it definitely changes from tier 1 to tier 2 or something like that. So, and then so it's all the way across here. So sometimes those XP bonuses will be what pays off the best for you. Sometimes it will be loading your wallet up, and sometimes it will just be give me a random card. I know it's a tier 1, let's just roll the dice on it, let's see what we can get. Or if you've built it all the way up to the top, potentially a star payout, which would be fantastic as well. So when you're looking at your club now, right, some of you might have been in a situation where you've been on the you've been building a gallery for the last couple of weeks to a month. You might have a super rare or two, you might have a bunch of rares. Regardless of what your situation is or was, you need to take a wee step back and revisit what the structure is we're going to be playing with, and how you see your current gallery best maneuvering around that, okay? So when we're building the club, there's a lot of new features that really pop on the website and they're a lot of fun to engage with, okay? But the most important part of any football club is the performances on the pitch. It's in your roster, it's in your gallery, it's in the cards that you're holding. This is where your strength comes from. So at the moment you might have been trying to move yourself towards being strong D4 moving into D3, but I think now with what we've had announced and what we need to prepare ourselves for is like if you're at that D4 stage, you can now actually get really comfortable in that D4 situation and maybe even just branch out the way, you know, moving into regions from global, or if you're in a region trying to move yourself across another region and ending up in global, maybe amalgamating two regions that you're kind of trading in and whatever. But it's a really good position for you if you were in this situation of maybe trying to move up a wee bit to D3, that you can now actually just relax where you are. Let's, you know, see the last 2 weeks, you know, how many game weeks will we have, maybe 4 or 5 of the last iteration before we get the new payout structure and everything that goes along with that. So by doing that, what that will allow you to do is actually gather your resources in terms of the club, you know, make sure you've got your best cards picked out, fine tune those little gaps that you've got in your club, you know, so they might be like, oh, do you know what, if I had a good midfielder in Challenger, I'd be really competitive there, or if I had a striker in America, I would be up there, you know, whatever the holes are. It'll allow you to plug those gaps without worrying about making that step up to D3, because if you are in that limbo land in D4 now where you're not really grabbing cards, if you're chasing that, you're getting it most of the time, but there's nothing else really going on in your SoRare career at the moment, that's about to change drastically. So it's definitely a great opportunity in terms of building the club and where you're going to go over the next like 2 to 5 months. We've just kind of outlined there is get really comfy where you are. Make sure you've got all the boxes ticked. You don't want to be getting all these doors opened up for you and all these new opportunities to actually win from the game and you're not able to capitalise on it from day one, you know. So that might involve selling some cards out, it might involve buying some cards in, whatever that is, whatever reshapes you need to do. And it must be said, you know, the marketplace at the moment, when I've been kind of diving on it, and this is maybe a little bit of a time sensitive part of the video, but the marketplace is doing pretty well. It's been up and down and all the rest of it. Some of these values are much lower than what they were 2 months ago, for example, but with the price of ETH, you know, they're still fairly attractive volume figures that are floating through here, you know. So if your cards are competitively priced, there's definitely a secondary market for them, and it's a great opportunity as well. Now I've seen a lot of people doing trades really successfully, you know, just card for card, and again, this with a lot of people I suspect have that kind of thing in mind, just plugging those gaps up and really solidify the current situation you're in. So your situation right now might be 1 or 2 D4 outfits. You might have actually just got to the stage where you're actually fielding a D3 or 2 and getting quite comfortable, and you're going to be in this odd kind of limbo land now, because the academy and the progress bar and all that kind of stuff is just behind you. You know, you're just about to close the door on that with some of the purchases you've been making and some of the strategies you've been outlining, and it's going to come a decision where it's like, do I turn my back on that, or do I just halt progress at this front at the moment, consolidate a bit stronger before making those moves? And I think if that's the situation you're in, where you can do one D3 really well, and the other D3s, if you are doing them, they're a wee bit more speculative and you're kind of hoping lightning strikes and things fall your way, then that could be a really smart move. You know, it's not necessarily selling the super rares as such, but that being said, there will be people who now have super rares that have less of a need for them, and those super rares, when they come onto the market, I will definitely be watching out for a few of them, and if they come underpriced or whatever, then happy days. There will be an opportunity on that side as well. People who have maybe overextended trying to get to the divisions where there's just less of a headcount, there's less competition, and they now realise they can kind of retract a little bit and really solidify the bases, the foundations that they're in, you know. So there will be kind of a twofold opportunity in that respect, but I suspect the majority of you guys watching the video will be in that situation where it's all about getting really comfy where you are now. Swap out that defender. You've been waiting for the market to move in the right way so you can get the most amount of ETH for the most amount of whatever. You're waiting for this form, whatever. Just sell the thing. You know, if you've been hanging on to it for too long, just list it at a price that you know is attractive and somebody will find appealing, and go and get those gaps filled that you've got in the club at the moment, because those foundations are what your club needs for its identity. You know, it's what your club needs for its success. You know, when you're going on the leaderboards, when you're stepping into the marketplace, when you're going onto the SoRare data leagues, the private leagues, any of this stuff, there are cards that you will want to maximise and utilise, and some of them do require matching pieces, you know. Some of them do require that midfielder that sit alongside them. Some of them don't require that third defender you've got for no real reason, you know. These guys come in sets, you know, in your gallery in terms of when you roll them out into game weeks. I'm just looking for, you know, like my Scottish boys, you know, they've done great this game week for me, which was lovely, but mainly like my PSV boy, you know. So there's different things that will go together, and you've just got to make sure, you know, I can't say this enough, a massive door's about to swing open for a lot of users on the platform, and you're going to have a lot of fun, you're going to win a lot, you're going to be really in amongst it, you know. And on the new levels that are about to come, in the current level we're at now, what will also happen is we'll have a little vacuum, we'll have a little downward pressure of those users that were just had no business being at that level. They just weren't ready. The rookie league wasn't enough for them, and they weren't quite ready for D4. So there will be this kind of vacuum zip that will pull down a lot of people from those D4 levels that really shouldn't have been there anyway, and that's going to be a really competitive ecosystem. But equally, if you were in D4 and doing pretty well and getting nowhere, a lot of those, you know, dice rollers are gone, and a lot of those people that are in some of the situations we're talking about, maybe trying to overextend into D3 that consolidate backwards, they'll be in the same situation as you, and that's a fair fight. You know, that's the sort of people you should be competing with, you know. So I can't stress this enough. The foundations is what is going to make your club successful. It's going to make your identity, and you've got to manage those expectations versus the time and the money you put in, you know, because time can make up for some things that money can buy you, and money can make up for some things that time buys you. But you've got to realise what your ratio of that is in terms of what's your access to ether like. You know, do you have a lot of ether sitting? Do you not have any? Are you selling cards to generate ether? Do you have a smaller budget and you make up for the difference in, you know, the smaller wallet versus the time you can put in, you know, the grind and digging through the stats and really finding those guys that you really want to put into your gallery. But with everything that's coming, I really can't say this enough. The foundations you've got to lay, number one, expectations on where you want to be over the next kind of 6-month-ish period. And number two is filling those foundations you've currently built in your club. Whether you've been here for 2 days, 2 months or whatever, you will definitely have some holes filled in some projects somewhere in your gallery. You know, you can maybe use the new squads feature to help you identify exactly where those are, as well as all the tools that are on SoRare data, or even just a notepad and pen. You know, but this is definitely the opportunity, guys. When you look at my gallery and you see how well my club has been doing, this is exactly what happened, or what I did come December and January earlier this year, is I made sure I was on really strong foundations, and then when things took an uplift in terms of the marketplace and everything else, I was well positioned to stay competitive, get involved in tournaments and move in the marketplace in a profitable manner, you know. So heed the advice well, okay? Hope you've enjoyed this, guys. There's going to be some videos pop on the screen now that stuff I've also made. I hope you enjoy them too. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Watch out for episode 2 in this season, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.